Houthis eliminated? That's the provocative question echoing across social media and geopolitical circles this week. Reports surfaced of a social media post attributed to President Trump himself, allegedly showing a devastating strike on a Houthi gathering, accompanied by a defiant caption suggesting they will never sink our ships again. But is the Houthi threat truly neutralized? What's the real story behind the intensified U.S. military actions in Yemen and the massive buildup of forces across the Middle East? Let's break down the facts. Since mid-March, the United States has significantly escalated its campaign against the Iranian-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen. While CENTCOM hasn't officially confirmed details of the specific gathering, strike reportedly shared by the president, the operational tempo has undeniably increased. We do have reports from outlets like Al Jazeera confirming deadly U.S. attacks as recently as April 2nd targeting infrastructure in the Houthi region. This intensification follows clear warnings from the Trump administration aimed not just at the Houthis, but squarely at their patrons in Tehran. President Trump has repeatedly linked regional stability, including the safety of shipping lanes, directly to Iran's conduct and its pursuit of nuclear capabilities. Remember his stark warning regarding the ongoing nuclear negotiations. If they don't make a deal, there will be a bombing. While that quote specifically referenced the nuclear deal deadline, it underscores the administration's willingness to use force to compel Tehran, and by extension its proxies. And perhaps Tehran is feeling the heat. In a potentially significant development, recent reports, notably highlighted by the maritime executive citing the Telegraph, claim Iran is pulling IRGC military advisors and personnel out of Yemen. According to the report, a senior Iranian official allegedly stated that Tehran increasingly views the Houthis as a losing force, potentially living their final months or even days, and suggested there was no point in keeping them on our list. If accurate, this marks a major shift and a possible sign that U.S. pressure is forcing Iran to reduce its exposure and cut potential losses in the Yemeni conflict. This pressure isn't just diplomatic rhetoric, it's backed by an unmistakable concentration of American military power in the region. Most notably, the deployment of B-2 Spirit stealth bombers to the strategic base on Diego Garcia. Satellite imagery confirmed by defense analysts at the war zone shows at least 6 B-2s on the island as of April 2nd. That's nearly a third of the entire fleet. Crucially, these bombers are not just sitting idle. According to defense outlet The War Zone, citing an unnamed U.S. official in a report updated April 4th, B-2s have been actively participating in the strike campaign against Houthi targets since it intensified around March 15th. This marks a significant escalation, employing America's most advanced penetrating bomber, with the ability to carry GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator, the MOP, designed to destroy deeply buried underground facilities, something the Houthis are known to utilize extensively. Supporting these operations, the U.S. Navy could have 2 carrier strike groups operating in the region, with the USS Carl Vinson strike group soon arriving, joining the USS Harry S Truman group already on station in the CENTCOM area of responsibility. That's an immense amount of air power and power projection capability concentrated in one theater. And defensively, the Pentagon is repositioning assets. We have confirmation via the Korea Herald that Patriot PAC-3 missile defense batteries are being temporarily deployed from South Korea to the Middle East, bolstering defenses against potential missile threats from Iran or its proxies. So what does all this mean? The message to Iran is crystal clear. The U.S. is prepared to exert maximum pressure, target its proxies directly with advanced weaponry, and has positioned forces for broader conflict if necessary, particularly if the nuclear deal deadline passes without agreement. The use of B-2 bombers against Houthi targets is particularly significant. It demonstrates the U.S. capability to bypass air defenses and strike high-value, hardened targets with precision, sending a direct signal about vulnerability to Tehran itself. But back to our initial question, are the Houthis eliminated? Despite the undeniable pressure and likely degradation of their capabilities, perhaps losing key leaders, equipment, or hardened facilities, the answer is almost certainly no. The Houthis' movement is resilient, deeply entrenched, and decentralized. Eliminating them entirely through airstrikes alone is a monumental, perhaps impossible task. The phrase eliminated likely serves more as presidential messaging, hyperbole signaling resolve, rather than a reflection of the current ground reality. The pressure is immense. Iran may be reassessing its support, and Houthi offensive capabilities, especially against shipping, may be significantly curtailed, but finished, unlikely. We stand at a moment of peak tension. The U.S. has dramatically increased its military posture, employing top-tier assets like the B-2 in active combat against the Houthis, directly linked to broader pressure on Iran over its nuclear program. Iran appears to be reacting, potentially scaling back its direct involvement in Yemen. While the Houthi threat persists, the strategic landscape has clearly shifted. The coming weeks will be critical. Will Iran bow to the pressure on the nuclear front? How will it respond to the targeting of its proxy forces? And will the Houthis be able to sustain their operations amidst this intensified campaign? The potential for miscalculation remains dangerously high. What are your thoughts on this escalation? Is the Trump administration's strategy working, or is it risking a wider war? Let us know in the comments below. If you value this kind of analysis, hit that like button, subscribe for more updates, and ring the notification bell. Thanks for watching.